Hello and welcome to today's episode of Navigating the Water, where we're joined as always by our fabulous host, Stephanie Mckinney of River VC. Hi.
Hello, how are you?
I'm really good, thank you. Lovely to see you. And we're also joined today by the fabulous Gertrude Matshe, who's Global Curator of HerStory, to share with us her story and also to ask her questions around her journey to investment as Stephanie helps us to demystify the jargon, the words and terminology that sometimes hold us back and make us feel like we don't really know what we're asking. So I'm really looking forward to today. I'm going to hand over to you guys to get us started.
All right, perfect. Thank you. And thank you both for joining and representing your company and who you are. And, you know, the questions that you have as the terminology grows and expands and dives into deeper depths. So thank you guys. I really appreciate it.
Oh, it's a pleasure. Thank you. Thank you for helping us, because it is a real help, isn't it? You know, one of the biggest challenges that I see, and from the people that I talk to around the world, is that fear of feeling foolish. And because we fear being foolish, we don't ask the questions. And yet, you know, I made a 30-year career out of asking dim girl questions. It was like just going in and going, why do you do that? Can you just explain that to me, please? Because nobody'd ask them. So this strange stuff would go on around the world without anybody questioning it. And I think, you know, that's what's great about what you're doing. And it's fabulous to have Gertrude on as well to share her perspective and to be helping us unravel some of those questions.
Right. And I think we need to stop thinking of the questions as being dumb, because they're not dumb. They're relevant. They're geared to what you have to do and what you have to say. And they're not dumb. They're just questions that no one has answered before, or no one has been willing to show you the ropes. So that's why I've created Navigating the Waters, to open this platform and this community to ask those questions, to understand what you're doing, understand why you're doing it and with who you're doing it, and just making sure that that's a clear-cut path, which is why it's navigating the waters, because we're doing it together. Because through my experience, I have learned and I'm still learning, and I would love to share that with everybody.
Amazing.
Oh. All right. With that, Gertrude, would you like to start with your questions or comments on the last episode where we kind of broke down some of the basic terminology? For example, angel investing, a couple of the different seed and series differences.
Okay, first of all, let me introduce myself so people get to know what my business is about and why I'm here. So I am the global curator of the HerStory online movement. And we are a social impact movement that coaches women to speak, to articulate their messages, to go up on stage as thought leaders. I'm a 3-time TED speaker, so I've hacked how to get on TED. And what I found is lacking for most women is how to articulate their story, hence HerStory. And this was created when I had collapsed with heart failure. I had set up a lot of women's cooperatives in Africa, Southeast Asia, and the Caribbean, helping women get out of poverty with very small amounts of money. But when I got ill, I realized that what I had done was not sustainable. And I needed to expose all of these projects to as many women as possible through a speaking platform. So everybody who comes to speak at our conference brings a social impact project that they support in their own community, or they can adopt one of the 200 projects that I have initiated, so that if anything happens to me going forwards, my projects won't die with me. So that's what the HerStory movement is all about. I got stuck in Australia last year. I had come to visit my daughter, who was just having a baby in June. And for 7 months, I couldn't go back to New Zealand, which has been home for the last 21 years. Then I saw on LinkedIn one day a competition, the Women in Technology Awards for 2021 Women in Tech Awards, and thought, let me pitch an idea for an app that I've been designing in my head. And lo and behold, I won the first prize for 2021 Women in Technology Awards. And I am now trying to get funding to scale, to take my idea to market. And that's when I found the beautiful Stephanie on LinkedIn. I was cyber stalking anyone with angel investor in their bio. And when we started talking, I got much more than I expected. Stephanie, I don't have the words to thank you for what you're doing. I felt foolish. I felt stupid when I was in meetings with people because I didn't understand half of what they said.
Mm-hmm.
So I've watched the last 2 episodes that you recorded and have lots of questions. In fact, those 2 episodes have helped me really get clear where I am with my business right now. So my first question is this. I've been operating for over 2 years, generating revenue, but really bootstrapping the building of this business. My platform is a pay-to-play platform, so people pay to come and speak. So it's like a TED Talk. You get 15 minutes and you pay $97 for 15 minutes. My next tier is $447. And at $447, you get onto my podcast, you get your 15 minutes. I publish the story in the HerStory magazine, and I also publish your story in the HerStory anthology series. So we create books. There's 10 women in every volume contributing a chapter. The last tier is $997. And at that price, you get all of the above, but you also get access to my coaching. And that's where the app idea comes in. So my app is an idea busting tool to help thought leaders refine their message. When you get onto the app, you're paired up with an accountability partner. You can schedule appointments and meet every week, and you go through the self-paced course through the app. You get rewarded for finishing a lesson, for watching recommended videos, for reading the blog post that I put out, and you get discounts for any other workshops that I will run going forwards. So I'm going to gamify the app. And that's the app in phase 1. It's just a speaking app. The phase 2 of this app has got a interface where I'm building a database of people looking for female speakers. So as a Black woman, I get a lot of opportunities in diversity, inclusion, and belonging. I run workshops for corporates, sitting on my couch at home. I get paid anywhere from $5,000 to $35,000 an hour. And a lot of women don't know that there's these opportunities out there. So I'm building a database so people can actually tap into corporate speaking opportunities as well. So given everything I've told you, where am I at when I start going for my first round of funding? Am I going for the pre-seed round? Where am I in the landscape of the different rounds you go through when you're trying to raise investment?
Right. So with your app, you're kind of building it not from scratch because you have HerStory. You have this platform where you already have the connections. You already have the people that you want to put on as your accountability partners, but you don't have the funding. Like you said, you were bootstrapping it or just eating the revenue that you were already producing. So I would say for the app in its entirety, you are probably in your pre-seed round, which means that you are asking connections that you have met in the past for funding. Like, I've taken HerStory and now I want to put it into this app. And you tell them the interfaces that you have, the plans that you have, the phases that you have. That would be your pre-seed round. And then from there, you do a demo, you do a beta test, you build the software, you white label another person's app, or you get your MVP ready to go. Then you come back and you say, hey, I've taken your money, I've taken all the connections that I made, and this is what I've done. I'm now investing in a seed round where you kind of open it not only for the people that you invested in your pre-seed, but now for more people, for their connections that they know. Oh, yes, I know this person who's good in software developer. Let's go talk to them. And then you get your team ready. You get your pre-seed team, your seed ready to go. And then after that, after you have your MVP, which we talked about, is your product, your app, or your product for the company. That's your MVP. So once you have that, then it's a seed round.
Okay. Now, when I was listening to the last podcast, you talked about angel investors and you talked about accredited investors. So at what point am I trying to attract either one?
So an angel investor is an accredited investor. That means that they have 200,000 of their salary for the past 2 years. It's basically the government's way of making sure that they know that what they're investing is in startup companies where 70% of them fail, and they can't go begging the government for money because they, threw it away at these other companies. So angel investors are accredited. And right now, you're always looking for them. They're going to be the people that not only invest in the company, but in you, in your idea, in your team. That is always a good thing to have, especially in the very beginning, during your pre-seed and your seed rounds, to have going forward.
Okay. Now, I have been starting to put together my team. You recommended I get myself an accountant. That's done. You recommended I get myself a lawyer and the tech team.
Right.
As far as the tech team is concerned, I have 2 potential apps that we can white label, and we've talked about that.
Mm-hmm.
And now I'm looking for the lawyer to put together the documentation that's needed. In the last episode, you talked about safes and pre-money valuation. So now I need to understand what's the next step. What is all the documentation that I need to put in place?
So let's go back a little bit. I told you in the very beginning, the 2 people that you need by your side when you're starting a company is a lawyer. You need to make sure that your company is legal, that you're able to do what you need to do in the government that you're in, and then an accountant, making sure that you can have your money managed and to understand the flow of everything. Those people are going to be your number 2 people that you need when you're starting a business. And then from there, the safe is a document that you make with your angel investors, your people your family and friends that you have in your pre-seed round, is making sure that their money is secure in your company by ownership of a stock in your company. So now they have that percent, which is where your legal team comes in, because now you're no longer 100% owner of this company. You have maybe 98 and 2% are going to your pre-seed investors. Okay. So your safe is a contract that you need to have geared up, written out, making sure that your contracts between you and your investors are secure, as well as any other documents in the future.
Okay, fantastic. Now, when you asked me to put together the pitch deck, I'm not going to lie to you, I got very overwhelmed because I'm trying to condense this huge thing that's in my head onto just a few slides. So I know the problem that I'm solving with this business. I'm solving the problem of helping women articulate who they are. I'm solving the problem of women finding speaking opportunities, workshop facilitation opportunities, and also helping women in 3rd world countries who don't have access to the internet to get access to the global marketplace to sell their products and services. Like I said, in Africa, everybody has a cell phone, but they don't have access to the internet, electricity, they don't have access, data is very expensive. So part of what I'm going to do with this app is people can send us pictures of their products, like earrings like this, it could be necklaces like this, and we expose them to designers in New York. My hope is that a designer who's getting ready for New York Fashion Week will pick up this image, buy the necklace, and the necklace ends up on New York Fashion Week. And that poor woman in a village in Africa is paid what her work is worth through the app, and the money is transmitted back onto her phone. So I know the problem, I know what I'm solving and why I'm solving it. The financial projections is where I'm at next.
Right.
So my model is a subscription model. I'm allowing women in 3rd world countries to download the app for free because they can't afford in the beginning, maybe for the first 3 months until they start generating a revenue. And then we have the women who can afford at $97, $447, and $597. I have got spreadsheets of money that's been paid to date, and I'm now just going back into all of that information, trying to make sense of it as well to see how much I've generated to date. So this is where the projections could come in, right? Projecting the potential that the business has going forward. Am I right?
Yes, exactly. So let's break it down a little bit further. So a pitch deck is your business plan. It's how are you going to make money? What are you doing? What's your goal? What's your raise? So in the first couple slides, I always like to see the problem. What problem are you solving? Tell me why, and then show me how. That is what I like to see in my pitch decks is a problem, the solution, and why they're going to do it. Why them? So a team slide is very important, very crucial. This is why we're going to make it. This is why we're better than our competitors. This is our financials, and this is what we need in this round. So a pitch deck is the breakdown in a simple slide, simple graph, simple charts that people can understand just looking at it. Because my computer screen is 15 inches. Like I need to be able to see your vision and your dream in these 15 inches that you got. So a pitch deck is just the outline of your company in its total breakdown and its, guts and glory and how it's going to make it. So after your financials, if you don't have, a subscription base, if you're looking to make money and you don't know how, that's when your financials, that's when your accountant needs to come into play. Like, let's talk about a company XYZ that offers a service instead. How many customers do you need to make sure that your company can stay afloat, that your company can hold the salary of your tech team or your development? So having that financial understanding of what your company is, your revenue model, how you're going to make money is very crucial when you're presenting to people, asking them for money. Because they're going to say, what are you going to do with my money? And you need to break it down. We're going to hire an accountant. We're going to hire a tech software developer. We're going to hire a go-to-market strategy. That's what we're going to do with your money. And this is how we're going to get it back. In 6 months, if we have a total of 100 subscribers for $10, we should be able to regain our money in the next 6 to 7 months. Or if we don't raise anything, which is what we talked about last one, is if you don't raise anything, what's your burn rate? How long can you last? How long can you hold your team? How long can you hold the app or the subscribe? How long are you able to stay afloat? So financials is something that you really need to take concern in because people want to see a 5-year plan, a 10-year plan, a 6-month plan. They want to see the breakdown, the steps in its simplest form. Don't just throw up all the numbers that you have because that's too overwhelming. Make sure it's broken down easy so someone can simply understand it.
Okay. Now, one of the things that you taught me when we first met, and I actually maybe ask you a question. As a VC, there's something that you look for in the people you're going to work with, right? What was the impression you had of me when we first talked? Why did you decide to invest all this time and energy in me?
It's the passion that I saw. It's the passion that I see in Kim. It's the passion that I see in these relationships that I've formed. They're very driven. Nothing is going to stop them. They're going to hit roadblocks, and they're going to hit those roadblocks harder than they got hit. These people have the tenacity to finish no matter what is going on in their lives. Kim, I talked to Kim in hours on an increment, and I look at the watch and I'm like, oh my gosh, we've been talking for hours, and it's just on the simplest things, and I can see how passionate she is, how she's going to be an earth shaker. And I saw it in you when I first talked to you, and you're like, I have this app. I was like, okay, that's a good app. Yeah. And then you told me what you did. And you told me how you're going to revolutionize that, how you're going to pivot that, because it's not working. It's not hitting your target audience. You want it to be a global impact, not just what you've been doing, which is huge and tremendous. And you guys just had your whole March marathon that you've been running. And I want to see that hit your target audience, and I want it to explode. I want it to be a huge global impact that you have, because you're right, that not a lot of people have that voice, have that ability to get in front of people and ask these questions. So I think this is going to be a huge market shaker.
Thank you. Well, I had a meeting yesterday. I attended an event, group of entrepreneurial women. I had 3 minutes to say who I was. And that's why I was trying to get hold of you yesterday, because I've come back with over 20 women who've said they will invest in this project. And they said to me, Gertrude, we're going to do this just as Australian women, supporting you as an immigrant woman here. So we need to talk about the strategy. I'm organizing a meeting with all of them. But thank you for just the reinforcement. Everything I've learned from you in just this short space of time has really made a difference. Now, you said something in the last episode that sometimes it's better to invest in someone who has no skills whatsoever, who's willing and teachable. I think this is how I can summarize it here in my notes. What did you mean by that?
So I guess for me, one of the things I've always said is when I'm looking to recruit or work with anybody, I would always recruit on their willingness, on their drive, on their desire, because I can't teach people that. I can't teach people how to have passion, how to be resilient, how to be tenacious. That's got to come from within. And I think, Stephanie, when you and I have talked about that, it's one of the things I think you look for as well, isn't it? Is who's the person I'm investing in? Right. Because actually I could have the best skills in the world. And I don't know, I might have shared my example last week, and if I did, apologies for sharing it again, but I always use the Wright brothers. So the Wright brothers, obviously the people that invented flying, but a little known fact is at the same time that they had no money and they invented it off a bicycle because they believed it could be done, there was an extremely rich gentleman who had millionaire backers and given them everything, had created a team that said that anything he needed to prove that it could work was at his fingertips. No one remembers his name because he didn't make it happen. So he had all of the resources, he had all of the skills on paper. If you were betting on which one of those teams was going to get there, you wouldn't have picked the Wright brothers. And yet actually what they had was passion, they had drive, and they had belief. They didn't think when they fell over, oh, that's it then, it's a bit awkward. They were like, no, I'm going to get at what didn't work, what went wrong, what can I tweak? And it never usually is that everything needs to get thrown out. It's normally a case of how do we just tweak it slightly? I always say to people, let's remember that, diamonds are just rocks that did really well under pressure. That's really what we're looking for, is how do you find those people that are going to be the next diamond, that are going to do really well under pressure because their belief in what they're doing, their purpose, their drive is greater than their fear of falling. And I guess that's what I look for with the people that I work with. And I got the impression, from our previous conversation, Stephanie, but also, whenever we chat, is that's one of the things that you're looking for in the people that you invest in. And therefore, that's just as important, is, in my opinion, is when you're looking for an investor, when you're talking to an investor, is that you are helping them to understand why you, not just why your product, why your service. Right. Would you say that's fair, Stephanie?
Oh, absolutely. 100% agree. When I look at a company, anybody could do it if they were handed the manual. Why is it going to be you? Why are you going to be the successor? Why is it going to be you? So when I talked to both of you ladies, I saw that passion. And okay, yes, I'm not reinventing the wheel, but I'm going to be the one who changes it, who makes it better. So I think that is a huge factor that I look at when I invest in companies and when I have these hundreds of plus meetings, is who's going to resonate with me because of their passion and their commitment. Even in these Zoom conferences, I can still see it and it's still radiating. That's what I look for. I look for the founder and their vision and their goal, but mostly who they are and what they believe in.
You also talked about self-care in the last episode. Now, I'm recovering from heart failure and I'm still not okay 100%. And I have a problem with my blood pressure. And now it doesn't matter whether I'm happy or sad. Like last night, I was so happy because of these business cards. I didn't sleep very well. My blood pressure is very high right now.
Right.
So why is self-care so important for us as women? You know, we go full throttle. We're looking after families. We're trying to create a new business. Why is it so important for us to remember to care for ourselves?
The answer is in the problem. We are strong women. We have everything on our shoulders. And if we don't take care of ourselves, the holder of all these weights, of all these, like taking care of your family, running a business, if we don't take care of ourselves first, all of it's going to fall.
I completely agree. I mean, we talk a lot these days about well-being at work, and when we think about how do we make sure that we are creating the right environment for our people to be well and to be happy. But if we're not also showing the same care to ourselves, then we won't be there to help lead them. We won't be there to help create that vision. And particularly as founders of organizations that are seeking investment, if you're not looking after yourself, you're not looking after your investment, and you're not looking after your investors' investment, because they're believing in you and your ability to lead it successfully. So it's kind of, and I know sometimes it can feel counterintuitive, can't it? You're kind of like trying to build your business, you're trying to get it all done, and you're like, yeah. So I've not slept much and I've not done this, but I just want to get there. But then you realize actually, one of the things that life shows us, unfortunately, is if we don't take care of ourselves, eventually our body will do something to us to make us stop and say, you will stop and you will take some care, because you can't keep doing the things you're doing. And I think it took me a lot of years to not think it was selfish to look after myself, until I realized that my people needed to be there to help them, and I wasn't any good to them if I wasn't there, either because I pushed myself into an early grave or because I was really unwell. I mean, I'm embarrassed to say I was in intensive care at the point that I realized that I needed to do self-care. So maybe I'm not the brightest, but it was that wake-up call that you needed, that was like, it doesn't change your passion, it doesn't change your drive, but you need to be at your best to be your best for them. And actually, I think you're right, it's not just about our businesses, it's about our, it's about everything else that comes with it, our families, our, all the things that are important to us in our lives.
And I think that the biggest thing to remember is that your health is your wealth. Unless you're healthy, you can't do anything to help anyone anyway. Exactly. That was the biggest learning for me. Yeah.
It's so true. So think about like what Steve Jobs said, and unfortunately on his deathbed, he suddenly realized that actually perhaps it wasn't like all of the wealth he had in the world couldn't fix the fact that unfortunately he'd lost his health. And the things that had been important were less important once that had gone. And I mean, what an awful way to find out that perhaps we've looked at the wrong things. And I think we're learning lots from that as the world moves on, isn't it? To say we've got to keep that balance.
Yeah. I think balance is key, especially when you're starting up a company, because like you said, there's going to be highs and lows. Like last night, you were so excited and everything was going well, but you need to make sure that you're centered, that you're ready, that you're well before everything else can manifest into itself.
Yeah. Real reminder. So I'm eager to dive into some of the acronyms, the words that we're thrown at when we come into this space. Can we start off with the annual recurring revenue, ARR, and really deep dive into what that is and what it means?
Yeah, we touched a lot on the last episode, but was there anything specific that you needed answered before I dive into the overview of it?
Okay, let me take my example. Again, I'm always going to just draw on what I'm trying to create. So I would say that my recurring revenue will come from my subscribers who are going to be downloading or coming onto my platform as members. I can see that recurring revenue coming from book sales. So if somebody's going to a conference, they need books to sell, they come to me to get them printed, so I can generate a revenue from that. And maybe even I could even start coaching one-on-one people who could pay me more than the people who are subscribing, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so Yeah, all your revenue model is how you're going to make money. And then your ARR is just a projection of that. So if you take all those three things that you just listed and you put it in and you do an Excel sheet and you put it in, okay, let's just say you have 100 subscribers. What will that ARR or annual reoccurring revenue look like? And then it's just the amount of revenue driven by your subscription base or your SaaS work or whatever company that you're trying to where you're trying to project out into the world and how you're going to make money. So it's your revenue model is very key in learning your ARR. So if you didn't know that you could do your one-on-one meetings, you're missing a huge chunk of your ARR. So making sure that you understand how you're going to make money, how you are going to make money through your subscription, through your one-on-one, through your platform, and then making that into a document to calculate what your ARR is going to be, which is breaking down your MRR, which is monthly reoccurring revenue.
Okay.
Amazing.
Right, that's clear.
Could I just leap in, because I'm very conscious of our time, and I'm thinking we probably could do another whole episode on this and more questions. So what I'm thinking is, because I wonder if we have a next episode, and Gertrude, it'd be great if you could come back and join us, and we can really dig into that terminology and how that pulls in, so that we're really helping people understand that in using your real life examples of how that's going to be created. Would you be willing to come back and join us?
Oh yes, definitely, yes.
Perfect.
Thank you both so much. It's been yet again another amazing show where we've learned so much. Stephanie, your ability to make the complex simple is amazing. So thank you again for your time, and I look forward to seeing you both in the next episode.
Thank you both for joining. I really appreciate it. You guys have made navigating the waters easy and understandable, and having you guys both as your own startup, as your own business, making it sure that other people know that they're not the only ones out there with these questions. And if you do have questions, please comment them below, answer or DM me, and I'll answer. I would love to have you on the podcast. If you have something specific you want to say or promote your own company, I would love to do that as well. So please, thank you all for listening to Navigating the Waters. I sincerely appreciate it.
Thank you.